What's up, everybody? So, got Eric here in the front seat this time, Perry there in the back, Carlos here in the front. So, we just got back from watching, honestly, has to be at least top 10 most anticipated films of the year for me.
Yeah, same.
You could argue probably top 5 at this point. But this is for the Nightingale. So I'm not really sure how many people really are aware about this film. It seems to me that there's actually not as many people as I thought. This just came out today, and we were in a theater of what, like maybe 2 people in there, 3 people in there?
No, there were. I feel like there was like.
I think it was like
10.
6 or 7.
Oh yeah,
maybe like 10.
Yeah, I think 10.
Point is, there wasn't a lot of people in the theater on opening day, and that was kind of shameful for me because I really enjoyed this film a lot. Obviously, it's written and directed by Jennifer Kent, the writer and director of The Babadook. So, you know, you could say that I have maybe not a bias, but definitely high expectations. to want to like this film because I really like The Babadook. And yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about this film, obviously. But coming out of it, guys, I really enjoyed this film. I personally thought that this was a pretty exceptional piece of filmmaking. I do have some minor issues with it, but overall, I was pretty blown away by this film, to be honest. Like, I had pretty high expectations going into it, but I think it may have slightly surpassed them because there is just so much about this film to really enjoy and appreciate and to love about it. Just on a simpler level, the acting is really, really good, especially from the main actress played by Aisling, what the hell was her last name?
Franciosi.
Aisling Franciosi, so sorry. But she was absolutely incredible in this film. You know, I'm not sure if she like surpassed
I don't know. No idea what her name is.
What was her name from The Babadook? I forgot.
I can't remember her name either.
So sorry. They deserve better than this, but
yeah, obviously.
But either way, lead actress in The Babadook gives an excellent performance. That is very on par with the lead actress for The Nightingale. She gave an excellent performance in this. She definitely had to dedicate a lot of herself to this role.
Yeah, for sure.
And that becomes fairly obvious when you're watching this film, but yeah, she gave full dedication to it. She really pulled it off. She really had to convey some really, you know, tormenting moments just through facial expressions and voices of anguish, but she was absolutely incredible in this. And honestly, all the acting in this film is really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I thought the characters in this were very well handled. Even like some of the side characters that you don't really expect to have much of an arc or meaning to them, they're there to serve some sort of like thematic purpose, and it usually is conveyed really well, and it's usually powerful. Pretty much every side character in this has something powerful to say in terms of theme or even with their own arc, but I really just enjoyed definitely the character writing in this. The direction is obviously, I personally thought it was really, really well done in terms of the camera work, in terms of blocking, in terms of just, you know, conveying certain actions in this film. I thought it was really good at conveyance because, guys, just a fair warning, the first act to this is extremely gruesome.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah,
it's genuinely very hard to watch.
It's not for the faint of heart. Not at all. Like, honestly, for the first act of this, I thought I was watching like a Von Trier film or some shit because it gets really like disturbing and twisted in that way.
It was genuine. It made me like actually upset.
Yeah, it's really upsetting. But this film apparently has some controversy because it was a bit too graphics. I heard a lot of people saying that it was excessively graphic and gratuitous for no reason. I don't share those. I don't share that. I don't share that opinion, and I usually don't ever share that opinion. Only rarely do I think like, oh, you know, this has gone too far. This is not giving me much from, you know, in terms of theme or character or anything. It's not giving me much. But this film, I think the brutality is there, and it's definitely hard to watch, and it's upsetting. But I feel like it's all there, and it really enhances what the film is trying to go for, and I feel like it's all done really well, and it's all purposeful. And yeah, I really dug that aspect of the film as well. The violence and all that didn't bother me. I found it really fitting and meaningful for the most part. I guess if I'm going to get into my minor issues with it, I thought that the writing of the story in the second act, which is basically this I don't know if you would call the second act of them going through the forest. I'm not going to spoil like the plot details of why they're going into the forest, but there's a segment of them going in the forest for a long time, and some of that huge segment felt like it could have been trimmed up a bit, and it could have been maybe a bit more cohesive and a little bit more straightforward. Because there's parts that felt like it was just maybe meandering a little bit too much, a little bit repetitive in a sense sometimes when it came to certain things. But really, for me, that is like my only issue, and it's not even a big issue. Everything else about this film I thought was really well handled, and yeah, so I've already talked a lot about it. I'll let somebody else jump in if they want, but I really, really enjoyed this film a lot. I thought it was an exceptional piece of filmmaking. Great job by Kent. I thought she was great.
Yeah, when I first came out of this movie, I was not negative on it, but I was focusing on the thing I didn't like about it at all, which is the structure of the movie. Like, kind of what Carlos touched upon, like the pacing and the structure. I didn't like. It really dragged the movie down for me, but not to the point to where I don't like it or hate it. Like, I really enjoy a lot about this movie, and overall, like, I thought it was a really great film and definitely has a lot to offer. Carlos already touched upon most of it, like the acting from really everybody. The villain, or villains, they really sell.
I didn't talk about that, but he's right. The villains in this were just...
They sold them as fucking reprehensible pieces of shit that somebody you do want, personal revenge on, and to see them get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
This movie's very thematic on a lot of levels. I'm sure we're gonna get on that very soon, but yeah, this movie it's more than just a revenge film.
Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot this movie strives for. It's very ambitious, and I feel like it gets a lot of it, most of it right, for sure.
All right, Travis Bickle in the back. What you got?
This film is really like you said, like Eric said, it's not your typical revenge film because it's very good at subverting the audience. You really think it's going one way, and especially in the third act, it goes a whole nother direction, and it's very satisfying. And it's not just the first act of this film that's brutal. The violence in this entire film is not for the faint of heart. It is very unrelenting, but I don't think it's gratuitous in any sense. I felt like all the violence in this film was quite necessary and served a purpose to the story. The only big issue I have with the film is I do think it dragged a little bit in the second act. Not that much, but a little bit. And I do feel like this film is bloated, a little overlong. I feel like maybe 15-20 minutes of the film could have been cut out, but I can really forgive that, and because of how thematically rich this film is.
Yeah, that's actually probably one of the biggest reasons why I love this film so much, is because, like you said, it's thematically rich. I feel like this film handles its thematic content when it comes to society and oppression. It really establishes and fleshes out those themes in multi-dimensional ways. This is not a one-dimensional film by any means.
Not at all.
This is not black man good, white man bad, or woman good, man bad. This helps you see things in a more clearer light, but while also giving you multiple perspectives and seeing how those clash. And I just really liked it because it says a lot about humanity on its own with the themes that it handles, and it has a lot to say about misogyny and toxic masculinity and the overall insecurity of men in power and what that does, and how for history, just thousands of years of our history, of how that concept alone has held people back. And I don't know, I just thought, and also on top of that, just childhood indoctrination, brainwashing. People hear stuff like that. They hear far left stuff like toxic masculinity, about women being oppressed, female empowerment. But this film does a really good job at taking those concepts and making them just seem these are things that aren't necessarily extreme, even though I agree some people on the far left, they tend to give those concepts a bad name because they overuse them too much and they apply them where they're not supposed to be applied. But I like how this film shows you that those concepts aren't radical concepts, and a lot of those A lot of those societal concepts have been implemented throughout our entire history, and it's worthy to, note it and be aware of these things. And I just thought, for a film that's able to, convey all these thematic messages, it really hit home because it didn't do it in a preachy, like, believe what this is trying to tell you kind of thing. Like, this is a film that you have to extrapolate these things through a lot of the situations and some of the dialogue and how it's presented. And that's what I just really loved, I think, the most about the film, is that, like Perry said, it's thematically rich, it's thematically heavy, and I feel like it handled all of those really touchy subjects in a really thought-provoking way that isn't just force-feeding the audience a message. And I love that about film. I really love when a film is able to convey something, especially touchy stuff like, politics and religion and, sexism and racism. Tackle those things without coming off too preachy or propagandy or anything like that. It came off really natural, genuine, and it just seemed like overall smart filmmaking, and I really enjoyed it for that reason, and also a lot of other reasons. I mean, the direction's solid. For me, the camera work is really beautiful for the most part. It's shot with a different aspect ratio, I believe.
Yeah, it is. I like the aspect ratio. I feel like it worked for this film.
Yeah.
Like, a lot.
Yeah, it has a really, old style aspect ratio, and I think that really worked for the film. And yeah, the violence in this, it's fucking brutal. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's brutal and it's gruesome.
I was just about to say, this film pulls no punches.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it
at all. Jennifer Kent does not shy away of, probably the true nature of, those oppressive times for both women and black people.
Yep.
Yeah. And the content in this film, she doesn't pull any punches. But at the same time, it's not overly... I don't know. I feel like... I don't know. I wouldn't use the word excessive. She could have gone a route to where you got, some more, gore and shit, but...
And I can see a lot of people being not satisfied with the route this goes in with the third act.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, when it first happened, I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but there is a moment with the main character where she decides to take a course of action, and I could see a lot of people being a little turned away by it, because I was at first. When that happened, I was like, that's not really what I wanted to see, and this is not... I felt like a little out of left field for the character. But then as the film progresses and you think back on pretty much everything you saw, her character decision makes more sense. And also, on top of that, it does a good job at subverting your expectation that way. Because at that point of the film, you expect it to go one way, and then it goes a completely different direction that you really don't expect. And that can be really unsatisfying for some people. It was for me, maybe slightly at first.
At first, yeah.
But by the end of it, it doesn't bother me at all, because you get to see what it builds up to and what they decided to do besides that. And I think that I wouldn't change it. I thought it was really clever writing.
This is obviously not a horror film like The Babadook, but the one similarity this has with The Babadook is this film also has really disturbing dream sequences The Babadook, and I really appreciated the dream sequences in this film. All the dream sequences in this film, they're very thematic. They serve a thematic purpose, and they each symbolize something different, and they really align with the character arc that you see Claire go through. You see her character arc.
It's
through the dream sequences.
Yeah, basically every time she has a dream sequence, it basically reflects her current trauma she's dealing with at that moment.
Exactly.
And I just like you said, I love if you're gonna use a dream sequence in a movie, it should be like this. It should be utilized for something meaningful, and not just filler horror stuff.
I love the ambiance when they show the dream sequences. It looks like it's nighttime, of course, but it's a much darker nighttime, and the moon, the lighting from the moon seems toned down, and you can tell just by the lighting and the sounds that the main character's hearing that she is dreaming, and every time one of those dream sequences happen, you're just on the edge of your seat, what are they going to do with this dream sequence?
Yeah.
Right.
Anybody else have anything to add in there? Any other issues that maybe anybody had, or
and
positives?
If you think the first act is really disturbing, which it is, the dream sequences just make it more disturbing, because they do not let you live it down. They don't let you like see the first act and then move on. They remind you of what happens in the first act, and it's just gonna play over and over again in your head. It's really gonna sit with you, and it's very unsettling.
Yeah, I mean, like me personally, I wouldn't say. I mean, this film conveys trauma really well, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think it's really good at that. But like, I wouldn't say that it conveys trauma maybe as intense or as much as it does like with maybe like You Were Never Really Here, or
no, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, maybe not like that. I was thinking something
Antichrist.
Antichrist. Even like Midsommar. I thought Midsommar at times conveyed like trauma and like panic attacks and anxiety, like really intense. Like
Ari Aster is such a fucking master with his I guess that's a strong dick sucking word. He's so good at fucking working with his actors and getting their performance like to feel real and raw.
Because I feel like the dude knows trauma or something. Because like
apparently like after Midsommar he got through like an ugly relationship, so that's what inspired him to make Midsommar. But
yeah, so like this, it conveys trauma pretty well, but like it's not as like it's not, at least for my opinion, it doesn't like, it's not something that's going to give you like an anxiety attack or something.
No, nothing like that.
But it is like, it is somewhat intense, and it does like show you what people with trauma kind of have to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this film a lot. I don't really have much issue with it, only those minor issues that I already said. Like I said, I think the acting's brilliant. I thought the thematic conveyances in this were really well established and really well fleshed out in a non-preachy way. Really proud of Jennifer Kent. I've only seen 2 of her films.
She's only made like 2 films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought she maybe made more because she's
The
like...
Babadook was her first film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is her
What the fuck? Because she's like on the older side, right? She's like 50 or some shit, right?
I
or
think
she's younger?
I don't think as old as 50, but she's definitely not young.
I thought she maybe had more films under her belt, but...
Nah.
And this is only her second film, technically, then fucking bravo, because...
I hope we don't have to wait another 5 years for Jennifer Kent film.
I hope, because I really... So far, I'm really enjoying her filmmaking.
Oh, definitely.
Like you said, this isn't a horror film or anything, but it definitely tackles horror in a way. Like a real-life horror. And either way, that doesn't stop this from being a really excellent piece of filmmaking, in my opinion. So, I guess since I gave it a rundown, I'll just go ahead and give my grade for it. I'm going to give The Nightingale, written and directed by Jennifer Kent, a 9 out of 10.
Ooh. Yeah, boy. I guess.
Boy.
Fuck. How am I supposed to follow up? No, I really greatly enjoyed this film. But I still feel like there's certain issues that I also have that I don't, they're kind of nitpicky. I don't really feel it necessary to bring it up in this review. My big problem is just the structure and the pacing, and I guess some of the editing, some of the cuts that it does. But in terms of grading, I will probably give it a strong 7, maybe a low 8, but I think I'm gonna go with a strong 7
for now.
For now, yeah. I need to rewatch it.
That's interesting. I hate like falling back on the score because I feel like I give the score out way too much. But for The Nightingale, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
I think it's a really good movie. I think everyone, if you call yourself a film lover, definitely check it out. If you don't think you're gonna be able to experience like brutality and very like unsettling scenes, especially the one in the first act, I don't think this is for you. But if you call yourself a film lover, I think you have to watch this film.
This is for film lovers and the treacherous casual viewer.
Oh yeah.
Can I give a disclaimer about my opinions, by the way? I gave The Farewell a 7 out of 10 as well, but I only did that because I feel like The Farewell did everything it needed to do for the goals of that film, like perfectly for that. But The Nightingale obviously went for way different things.
It's more ambitious, that's for sure.
Way more ambitious, and the shortcomings is what makes it a 7 out of 10 for me. But I would I would check out this movie as long as you can sit through some pretty disturbing and very upsetting content, and also the kind of as much time as you want to put into it, because it's kind of a long movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and the last thing is, for anybody who remembers, I gave Midsommar a 7 out of 10 and I bitched the whole way. I'm eating my words because I think Midsommar is fucking brilliant. And my current rating is a 9 out of 10 and it's my favorite of the year. So
yeah.
Fuck you to myself, my older self. And also, I gave Gloria Bell, I gave it like a 6 or 7? That shit's a 5.
Yeah.
It's very forgettable.
I changed that to a 5 too. Unfortunately, Midsommar's still an 8 for me.
It's a 9. I love Midsommar, but
Yeah, Midsommar's a 9 for me.
Just wanted to tell Carlos's subscribers that I disagree with my own self in that review.
Climax is the only film this year that I've given a perfect 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I was close on that one. I was really close to giving it a 10, but I just couldn't.
It's funny with this film, though, because with The Nightingale, after it was done, I immediately was like, I fucking love this film, guys. Like, I immediately was like, this is exceptional. I really love this film a lot. And then Perry was like, yeah, I think it's pretty great. Like, he's like, I definitely dig it a lot. And then Eric was like, he didn't really know what to feel at the time. He's like, I definitely like it, but
I was for sure mixed on it. Yeah. But I feel like the more I talk to these guys, I feel like it's kind of molding my opinion. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying that like they're totally influencing me, but I just feel like talking it out with people really helps to like gather my thoughts.
And also some time, sometimes just letting a film sit for a little bit and just thinking about it more.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make you, it grows on you a bit. And even like in a matter of minutes, like it's happened before. Like,
yeah, it has.
I've gotten out of a film, like even with like Pet Sematary, like I came out of that like saying like, yeah, it's not good, but it's not that fucking bad. But then as time went on, I'm like, that shit was bad.
It was bad. Yeah. But
so
for sure, check this out, seek it out.
Yes, please check out The Nightingale. Like, I think it's a really great piece of filmmaking, and the fact that it has no marketing, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the only people that are going to see this are maybe random people who watch this review and decide to go see it, and just a bunch of people who are film lovers and were already set on watching it. So
right,
it sucks. It's a Friday night. There's only like 5 or 6 people in there, and it just came out, so it's a little upsetting. So please watch it and check it out. Go definitely support this film. It deserves your support. Yeah, so I guess that's all we gotta say. I'm so glad we finally watched it, man, because this is a film that we were actually like expecting to see for a good long time.
Ever since we heard about it.
So yeah, finally saw it. If you really enjoyed what we had to say about The Nightingale, which is written and directed by Jennifer Kent, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content. See you later.
See ya.